Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my larch tree here. So I've had this bonsai for a couple of years now. I think the most recent update I did was back in spring, just as it was starting to resprout its new growth. It's done quite well over the summer. It hasn't grown as big as last year, but I think that's because it's got to a size now where the size of the top is kind of equaling the size of the roots. So it's not going to have the really strong vigorous growth like it did before. If I did want more vigorous growth, I could try feeding it a bit more or perhaps giving it a larger pot. But for now I'm going to keep it in this pot. I'm quite happy with the amount of growth. It's still quite vigorous, not as strong as it was last year, but you can still see it's grown over 10 centimeters on the strongest sections of growth. So I'm quite happy with it as it is at the moment. The stem isn't perfectly straight still. I might see come winter time once the needles are fallen off if I can straighten that at all, but it's generally straight enough for what I'm going for in this bonsai. But what I will do in this one is I'm going to cut back any of the really strong vigorous growth. What I'm looking for eventually with this tree is I'm going to have a kind of pyramid sort of shape, slightly wider at the base, going thinner as it goes up, a bit like basically just like a giant ancient tree. And I will also have all the branches probably from about here lower down taken off, so there'll be a nice bare stem. I'm currently leaving these on the lower section to try and get a bit more thickness in the trunk down here, and so that way it was taper up nicely, having a thick trunk at the bottom, going to a slightly narrower trunk at the top. So what I'm looking for here when I'm trimming off these longer growths is I'm wanting these lower branches to get a bit wider. So I'm probably going to leave these two here that have grown. You can see them there, they put on a decent bit of growth. What I'll do is I'll wire them in, so next year they're going to be growing straight and not as side branches. As for the higher up new growths, what I'm going to be doing with them is cutting them back. This one here, this is actually one that's turning into a new branch, and I would like some more branches up here. You can see there's a bit of a lack of side branches there, so I would like that to be a side branch but just much shorter. So I'm going to cut it off just here, and that will encourage some of these side buds to then further break, and this side branch to have side branches of its own, which will make it have a nicer look to the tree. Same with this one here. This one is actually a side branch on a side branch, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. But I don't want it to be quite that long, so I'm just going to trim it off just the side. Same with this one here, just to shorten the length. So I'll just go around now. Any of the side branches coming off side branches, I'm just going to be nipping back so they keep quite short. And anything that's got really vigorous, I'll be giving a hard prune. So that's all those growths taken off. As for the top, this is far too vigorous, and I would like a small little shoot coming up the top, but this shoot is already in the middle here, is already far too thick from what I'm going for. So I'm going to cut this off here, but I'll just show you a close-up now of where I'll be cutting it, because I'll be wanting a new leader to come up, and I want the new leader to be a lot thinner than the existing leader. So you can see this existing leader here is really thickened up, especially with these strong growths on the top. That's because I wasn't quick enough to cut these back as they started to grow. A tree will naturally try and grow most vigorous at the top, because that's where most of the light is. And as this tree wants to be really large eventually, it wants to put on a lot of growth at the top, get to a decent height. So I'll be cutting this one off here, just above this little bud. You can just see there's a little whirl of needles there. So that bud will become the new leader once I cut this top off. And what I'll do is I'll train that so it will go straight up. Hopefully not as much to the side as this one, but it probably will go to the side slightly. I'll try and train that up as straight as possible, and then I'll make sure I keep it well pruned so it doesn't get as thick as the existing leader has become. So I'll cut that off now. As it's still summertime, it should actually encourage that to put a new leader out probably this year, because it's been quite a decent summer, and it's quite a lot of growth up in that section. So I'm expecting that to become a small leader in this late stage of the summer, but it won't put a huge amount of growth on because it is quite late in the summer now. So I think that's about it for this pruning that I'll be needing to do. As I say, these two I'm leaving them because I want them to go slightly longer. The bottom branches here as well, I'm trying to get some more thickness on them so they look like they're older branches, and then the bottom ones, as I say, they'll be getting taken off eventually, but they're just there to thicken up the plant. So it's done quite well. It's not looking too bad at the moment. Come autumn time, I'm going to have to wire it all up again, get everything looking nice, but it's kind of tricky to wire it whilst the needle's on it, which is why you don't generally wire the larch trees during the summertime. So that's all for this video, quite a short update, but I'll give you guys an update probably come autumn time when it's time to put new wires on.